Hello, everybody, and it's a very, very special day, isn't it? It is, with any luck, the last day of home learning. It has been quite a journey, hasn't it? And as year three in Jesse Young Husband School, we've had it twice, haven't we? We've had a period in November and also this little session here as well. I know what a challenge it has been for everybody at home, not just the youngsters as well, mums and dads, grannies, granddads. So I just want to say a big, huge well done for making it to the end, because it must have felt at times like there wasn't an end in sight. But a huge well done to everybody at home. As I say, whether you're a pupil or a new teacher, settling into your new role as a parent teacher, you've done an amazing job, and huge well done to everybody. So well done to the teachers, well done to mums and dads who've got your kids through it. Well done to the kids who have had to get used to a very, very, very strange situation. You've done great. And we are here on the last day. Woohoo! So it's we're going to do our sort of maths and literacy as normal, but we'll try to keep it fairly snappy today so that you can kind of get on with your weekend and enjoy your success. You've made it to the finish line. This is it. So we have our literacy. Now, yesterday for World Book Day, we began writing our own short story, didn't we? And you did a super job of that. Now we're going to carry on with that today. So hopefully you've got your plan where you wrote out what your characters were, what your setting was, and also we talked about this bit, didn't we? We talked about the fact that we were going to write these two bits today. We were going to do our middle and our end. Now, if you joined on yesterday's video, you'll know that mine was all about Mr. Crass, the mean old supply teacher. And so today I'm going to talk about Mr. Crass being really mean and cruel, and that's the problem in the middle of my story. And then I'm going to do the end as well. And of course, as we've been doing all week, and indeed last week as well, we are thinking particularly about show and don't tell, how we can do that really effectively. We're thinking about inverted commas, how we can get those into our writing when we're using speech, and hopefully making our reporting clauses for that inverted commas, making that really effective as well. So here was what we wrote yesterday. Let's just have a recap of where we're up to in my story. So yours will be completely different, but there's a huge range out there. I'm sure there's some about aliens and monsters and some about footballers and pop stars and YouTubers maybe. Whatever you've written about, obviously that's completely fine. It's your story. Here was the beginning I wrote yesterday. Just after 8:45, the door to the year 3 classroom swung open. Yay, said the children gleefully. But it wasn't their usual teacher stood in the doorway. A tall blonde man wearing glasses stood with his arms crossed, frowning at the class. He was looking at his watch and tapping his feet impatiently. Get inside, he grunted. I'm Mr. Cross, your supply teacher for today. So here was my work from yesterday. Let's see now if we can write on our middle with the problem and the end. So if you had your book from yesterday, your folded piece of paper where you had your lovely design cover on the front, and then hopefully your beginning in there as well, you can carry on writing straight underneath that. So for me, I'm at the problem section. And my problem is that this mean old supply teacher is there and he's being really cruel and horrible to everyone. So I want to sort of talk about that now. I want to describe some of these problems that we're experiencing. So it's the pupils in my story that are experiencing the problem. So let's have one of them, starting this off with some speech. Are we going to do art today, sir? Or PE? Or music? I suppose they're kind of the funner lessons, aren't they? And again, I'm going to have something like, said the girl, but we know, don't we? We can much improve on, said the girl. Now, I think we want it to sound like she's quite scared. So how might you be saying something if you're a bit scared or worried? I think we'd probably stutter. Now, that's a word that means you say it, but you kind of trip over your words a little bit, or you're finding it a little bit hard to get the words out. So maybe she'd be saying, are we going to do art today, sir? In fact, I could even change what she's the way she's saying this, couldn't I? I could have something like this. Are we going to do art today, sir? Or PE or music? I should say stuttered. stuttered the girl. So I think I've shown there that this girl's feeling quite worried and maybe a bit nervous around this new teacher. I think I can also improve on just saying the girl, can't I? So let's describe her a little bit. A small ginger girl. I'm using small there to sort of emphasize this difference in sort of power between this tall, mean, horrible supply teacher and this poor small girl who's feeling a bit nervous. I'm going to really emphasize this sort of show and don't tell here. And I'm going to say her knees were trembling under the desk. So again, you might kind of be shaking with nerves a little bit. So I'm not just saying she's nervous, but I'm saying she stuttered when she's speaking and her knees are trembling under the desk. That would be a really good way to show that she's a bit nervous. Now, I want a little kind of response here from Mr. Crass, this mean, horrible supply teacher. How dare you question my timetable? Now, again, I'm not going to put said, Mr. Crass, because we know said's a bit boring. Let's see if we can improve on said. How might someone say something if they're really cross and angry and irritated? I think we've got a few good options here. We might have boomed. I think actually I might try to make them sound a bit like a dog, and I'm going to say barked, because a bark is kind of like a short, sharp, rah. And I think that's almost how he'd be saying this. He would be, how dare you question my timetable? Barked Mr. Crass. And I'm going to let's try and get in a nice simile here to say how angry he is. So there's a nice kind of phrase people sometimes use when people are cross, that there's steam coming out of their ears. And I think I want to try to sort of make it sound like Mr. Crass is so angry and so cross that he's kind of giving off steam. So let's try to sort of play with that a little bit. I'm going to say he was so angry, steam was coming out of his ears like a boiling kettle. There we go. So we're starting to get a good kind of sense of what's going on here. We're getting this kind of mean, horrible teacher, and this is obviously the problem in our story. I tell you what, let's emphasize it a little bit more. You're in detention for a month. He spat out. Now let's come back to this girl here. The girl slumped in her chair and began to sob. She's lovely. The girl slumped in her chair and began to sob. Sob's a nice word instead of cry there. Fantastic. I think we're getting towards our kind of our fantastic bit of the story here where we've got our clear problem. I want to just sort of emphasize that all the other people in the class are really, really scared as well. So let's just add on a quick sentence there to sort of show that it's not just this girl who's really worried, it's everybody. The rest of the class sat completely still, too afraid to move. No one wanted to be, sorry, I can't quite see it. No one wanted to be the next person Mr. Crass shouted at. Okay, let's read the whole thing back to ourselves and check that we're happy with this as a middle. Are we going to do art today, sir? Or PE? Or music? Stuttered a small ginger girl. Her knees were trembling under the desk. How dare you question my timetable? Barked Mr. Crass. He was so angry, steam was coming out of his ears like a boiling kettle. You're in detention for a month, he spat out. The girl slumped in her chair and began to sob. The rest of the class sat completely still, too afraid to move. No one wanted to be the next person Mr. Crass shouted at. So there's the middle of my story, and I'd go on to have an end as well. And my end is going to be where perhaps the class sort of hear a faint kind of muffled cry in the cupboard, and they realise that Mr. Vass has been tied up in there, and they let him out, and they go on and have a lovely day. And Mr. Crass is fired, and all the rest of it. So I think there's lots of lovely directions we can take this, but I'm going to pause there because obviously my story is going to be very different to yours, and I'm sure you guys want to get on with writing your own version. So have fun with it today. Enjoy your story. Hope you finish your book. And it would be a fantastic thing to bring in on Monday. Once you've got your finished book where you've got your lovely picture on the front, you've got your beginning, middle, and end on the inside, I would love to see these on Monday. So bring them in with you. We can have, maybe we could sort of extend our World Book Day celebration and you can all read your own book stories out. That would be lovely, wouldn't it? We can have some author time on Monday where you as readers share your stories with everyone else. That sounds like a great idea. Let's do that. Fantastic. So enjoy your writing. The other thing to watch out for today is the Masked Singer reveal videos. So hopefully you enjoyed watching all of the videos yesterday where we had the masked readers sharing their stories. If you want to find out who each person was, you can watch that reveal video today. And again, that should be on the playlist that parents have been sent a link to. Did you get mine? Who knows? Okay, I'll see you back for our last video lesson then. Woohoo, one more to go. See you then.